afternoon.
I'm here with the CEO of Gamble Alert.
Correct.
Nice to meet you.
Happy to meet you as well, Temi.
Yeah, so my MyBettingSites Nigeria, we're live here at iGaming Africa 2026. It's Nairobi, Kenya. I would like to ask you a couple of questions around gambling. So let's start with the fact-finding question. There's this question that Nigerians and Africans generally believe that betting can change your life. Is that true?
Can change your life positively or negatively.
Positively.
Because if you think that it can change your life, you're right, either positively or negatively. So, but if you are thinking about positive, so gambling is potentially harmful. It may bring you some chances, but it doesn't bring you any promise. So if you think that it can change your life, you probably are in the wrong activity. You're doing the wrong activity. Gambling is entertainment and it is a game of chance. You either win or you lose. There's no middle point around it. So gambling is not likely to change your life. Yes, there are people who have made a fortune from gambling, but that's like one in 10,000, 100,000 of people. So that's not enough statistic to rely on about positives of gambling.
Yeah. So you also talked about entertainment. Do you think Nigerians, so far where you've worked with people, do you think they see gambling as entertainment or it means out of poverty, it means to potentially make money?
Right. So there are different demographics of players. Right. So when we say Nigerians, we should also not generalize that everybody falls within one particular category. Yes, there are a lot of people who are gambling for economic reasons, and ordinarily, automatically, those ones are vulnerable people. When you gamble because you think it's a source of income, and there are a lot of people who are doing that, especially because when people are facing social economic difficulties, they turn to gambling because they think that it will make them money. So there are that category of people who are not gambling for entertainment. There are also casual gamblers who just want to have fun, stake on Manchester City or on Arsenal once a while, and they are calculating their losses, their deposits, and what have you. So there are categories of people like that as well. But generally, in terms of which percentage is higher, I would say the people within the socioeconomic disadvantage. I mean, it makes sense to argue that we have more poor people in Nigeria than the rich. So it would also go the same way to say that you would have more people gambling for economic reasons than people who are gambling for entertainment.
Yeah. I understand that Gamble Alert was established to basically help people that are battling with addiction and all of those things, to help them come out of it. So far, over the years, like, what would you, if you were to give it a ratio of the addiction amongst Nigerians with betting, how would you rate it?
Right, so you have mentioned one of the reasons that Gamble Alert was created. Prevention programs, which is our biggest, research, treatment support is just one of them, advisory for regulators and operators, and then training of regulatory and operator staff. We do all of those things. Now, what we would say, rather than talk about the addiction level, because when people see problem gamblers, especially people who are chasing losses, they think automatically they are addicted gamblers. If you're not certified by a clinical psychologist, Gamble Alert would not call you an addicted gambler, right? So we want to be sure that you have passed all of the phases. You could think about problem gambling based on the diagnostic statistical manual to say, oh, okay, this person has ticked yes to some of these questions, and then we begin to send them to the psychologist. So the psychologist decides, okay, this is clinical, you need to get to a clinical psychologist or a psychiatrist. But in terms of numbers, as you have asked, we don't have the data of the operators. So the operators have the data of the players. We don't have access to that. So we cannot qualify and say, this is the number of people in Nigeria who are falling into addiction. There are people who are, in fact, the ones that we are talking to are the ones who have approached us for help. What about those who are not even approaching us for help? How do you exactly sum that up to now say, this is the percentage? What we can only say is the percentage of recovery rate based on people who are coming to us. But in terms of how much addiction is going on, except you have access to data of the number of punters per day, you may not be able to estimate.
Okay, so I want to ask directly for punters generally. A lot of people do not like to admit that they are addicts when it comes to gambling. So how does a punter basically know that he has gotten to the stage of being an addict?
Again, so addiction is a very tough word to use. And we are always quite careful because we work with the clinical team hand in hand. We want them to do their job, to be the ones to designate someone as addicted. Yes, we can talk about the markers of harm, signs that a person is problematic with their play. We could talk about all of those things. When you're lying about your gambling, when you're spending more than you have budgeted, when you think that you can win back what you have lost, chasing losses, when you begin to hide your gambling from your loved ones, when gambling begins to affect your relationship, important relationship, work, career, and what have you, when gambling begins to come in between some of the important things of life, we know that there is a problem. And then when you find out that someone who gambles a little is beginning to increase the amount he spends on the platform, or the amount of time he spends on the platform, or you find someone who gambles at the end of the month often, you know that he's probably spending his salary, or he's using his credit cards, to gamble, and then he's using 3-4 credit cards at the same time trying to chase losses. You know that this person is either committing fraud to fund gambling problem, or the person is actually maxing out his own card and then trying to get other ones to use. So there are very many signs that you can see for a person to know that this is a problematic kind of play.
Okay, so as we wrap it up, so if you were to meet a punter today who just wants to start betting and doesn't know so much about it, what would you advise him to do?
I'd say that the first thing you want to learn is setting limits. Because you can't advise anybody to stop gambling or not to gamble at all. People will do it anyway. So, and I mean, the decision to gamble or not to gamble is that of the individual within the context of civil liberty. So, what I would say to the person would be, learn the right tools for you to manage your play. Set deposit limits. You don't have to go all big at once. Make sure that you have a budget for your play. The same way you can have a budget for entertainment by the weekend. You say, oh, okay, I've worked all week. I want to have a budget that I'll spend on Friday. Have a budget like that for it and don't go above it. I think that that's an easy way to start.
Okay, and then finally, if I, as a punter, for instance, I find out that I'm an addict, can you give us like practical steps on how to go about it from the clinical method you talked about?
There's only one step: reach out for help. As someone who has become problematic with his play, is sure that you're not able to help yourself. So if we tell you steps that you need to take, you will still not take them. You need to reach out for help. So talk to a therapist. It doesn't have to be Gamble Alert. It can be just about any other organization. Go to a mental health institution. Speak to them. For us, Gamble Alert is absolutely free. I can't speak about other mental health organizations, but please reach out for help. They will be able to assist you in getting help.
Right. Thank you so much for your time.